answering a few questions that I was given, kind of requests. But they were questions. It was two specific ones, and I just saw a third. I have not responded to those comments yet, but I figured throw them in a ramble here. I don't think I've done a ramble this month, right? I can't remember. But I will answer the first one real quick, or the one that's shortest, that I could do shortest. Quickest, I should say. Ethan asked, who's your favorite character in video games? And their personal favorite is Dutch from Red Dead. That's a good choice. He's a good character. He kind of comes off as a dick, but I think what he feels he's doing is right for him. And the gang and stuff. Mine would probably be... It's probably Leon S. Kennedy from the Resident Evils. He's in, specifically, he's in 6, 4, and 2. There's a few. Him, James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2 as well. Just because I love that game. It's like my favorite game ever. Yeah. And he's just such a regular person. That's why I like the Silent Hills. Like, all the protagonists in those games are just regular people. They're not overpowered or anything like that. Let me try to get this other one real quick. I'm going to think of another name, too. I just want to get to... there we go. Yeah, probably Leon S., James Sunderland, Pyramid Head. Actually, Pyramid Head probably is my favorite character, even though you don't play as Dutch either. Do you use Dutch in Red Dead Redemption 2 at any point, like for a single mission? I don't know. Or is it just always Arthur, and then spoiler, and then I can't remember his fucking name. The other guy from the first Red Dead that you use after the game, the end game. I can't believe I can't remember his fucking name. Oh, John Marston. Pyramid Head as a character is fucking just awesome, and the reason why Pyramid Head is the character that they are, in the Silent Hill 2 lore, and the reason for it is awesome. Pyramid Head's so fucking great. There's a lot of, Geralt from the Witcher games is great as well. An awesome character as well. There's a lot of video game characters I kind of like. I'm trying to think. I think there was one somewhat recently that I liked. I can't remember. We'll go with those ones, though. I don't really know who's my favorite. If we're saying favorite overall, just character in a video game, playable or not playable, it's going to be Pyramid Head. And here's the next one here from a random person. They were mentioning, if I could do a ramble talking about things that I would put in a perfect video game if me or my favorite developer made one. I mentioned it in I think one of my Q&As about like a video game I would want made would be like a paranormal type thing where you're like investigating and stuff, and then like people had mentioned a few like Phantasmagoria, and there's a bunch on Steam where you're like actually like you have the equipment and shit. But for me, like it would probably be some kind of like haunting-ish type game. Maybe even like exploring carnivals and shit and doing carnival jobs would be kind of cool. I always had a thing for like carnivals and shit. But I would love to have like even on like the consoles for that matter. As I know, like I said, you can get them on the computers and through Steam and shit. But like, you kind of go from house to house, and maybe some places aren't haunted, and some are, and like, subtle things could happen and shit. Or, you know, and this would also involve like exploring kind of abandoned buildings and shit. I'm always a fan in games, and it doesn't happen often. Like The Last of Us, the first one, I haven't played the second one. There was a part where you go through a little like kind of suburban type street, and you're like digging through shit, finding shit in empty houses. I always like that in games. Elder Scrolls has that, obviously as well. But it's like more caves and stuff. But you can obviously just steal from anybody's house you want in that game. But I'm talking about like these houses have been long abandoned, and you're scavenging shit. I kind of like that, or like even just like basic shit. Like I've talked about like Firewatch and Gone Home, and these like walking simulators as they call them. Like I would not mind one where I'm walking through like just a woodsy area, and you're finding specific things like, oh shit, there's a house appears, or I found a little cave, or I found, whatever, like the ruins of something. Just like exploring and shit would be fun. Like that's the kind of thing I actually really like, but maybe it could be like all three things, like, But I always like the idea of like, you're just paranormal investigators, and there could be some danger involved because some of these hauntings can be threatening. Sometimes maybe you find nothing at a house, so it's like, how you go one way, you gotta debunk shit and stuff. They're like really deep into it. I don't know if these games that are on Steam like go deep into it, or it's just like the shit's legitimately haunted and fucked up shit's gonna happen to you, or if it like really takes like the simulation of it, like those ghost hunting shows, Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State, the million of them that there are. There's so many now. I thought this laptop was making some noise. Now that one would be kind of fun. For sure, just there's like anything like even like just a walking simulator, like simulate going and finding shit, maybe having to do some stuff as well. But really, like going, even if you just had to go out and find shit, like you have a metal detector, and you're finding things to even like sell, like, or you're finding like things to keep in like your own personal fucking museum, like, you're finding hidden relics and shit like that. It'd probably be something like that, like I'd love to see that kind of shit. I also really like space games that take place in space, like the Dead Space games and Alien Isolation. What are some other ones that have you're in space for Prey? Those would be kind of cool too. I like those games. Like another one where you kind of a lot of it involves exploring. Like I like when you can explore. Shit happens too, but I like when you kind of explore stuff. Not the necessarily the most exciting games. I mean, the haunting type stuff is cool. You can do it in like the vein of a Resident Evil 2, where maybe you have to find some keys and shit. Not obviously weird fucking things where you gotta find specific tools to make a fucking thing when you have a shotgun, but like you actually don't have weapons, so you need a key to get through a fucking tough door or something. Maybe like figuring out the mysteries of the house and shit like that. Those kind of games would be cool. I don't know how I would. It would probably be like an exploration game in the woods. You find some houses, you gotta find relics, you gotta fucking. Maybe you gotta deal with some hauntings in between. Shit like that. But, that's what I kind of like the idea, actually, of when people want, like, and that's another thing going forward. If you wanna, like, I can do this maybe with like 2. The one was just a question that I didn't respond to in the comment yet, so I figured I'd just throw it in the beginning of this vid. But the other 2 were like they wanted like this kind of specific rambles. So maybe, you know, in the future, if people have requests for like a certain ramble, I could maybe meld, you know, not meld, but put 2 of those into a longer ramble like this. But this chair makes a lot of noise. But those games would be really cool, actually. I just like, you know, the idea of exploring like the woods, or, you know, and finding abandoned houses and shit, and maybe just finding trinkets, and it's so kind of mundane or whatever, but I don't know, I really enjoy those games like Firewatch and Gone Home, where you're walking around just learning beats of the story from pieces of paper and shit. I really actually have grown to, you know, like those games quite a bit. Like Kona was another one that was a little more involved gameplay wise. I mean, Firewatch, you did shit too, but Kona was kind of like that as well, with the paranormal element, and that actually had like more of a paranormal element to it. But even just going around like with a metal detector, finding shit, maybe you sell it to somebody in town and you buy better equipment, that kind of stuff. These games probably exist too, but I'd have to go with that kind of stuff. And the next ramble here was from Alex. They said, any chance for a Super Bowl prediction ramble? You know, since the game's tomorrow, I might as well, you know, I can ramble on the Super Bowl here for a few minutes as well. Honestly, I mean, I want to see the Bengals win. If the Rams win, like it's one of those few Super Bowls. I mean, whatever. Even last year, I didn't care, but I think when I was super into football, I was more interested in winners and losers in the Super Bowl. Like, you'd almost come with reasons why you didn't want one team to win, or you wanted one team to win. You know, as a prediction, I would probably think, I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be like a 10-point or less victory for whoever wins. I consider 10-point win usually a tight game, unless the team's up like 30-0 and the other team scores 20 garbage points, you know. I'd maybe say like a 6 to 10 point gap between the teams in points. And just, I really, the way the Bengals are playing, like, I don't know. I could see the Bengals just taking it. I mean, it'd be cool to see Von Miller win another Super Bowl, you know, being a Broncos fan, but that doesn't really matter either. And like I said, for the Bengals, it'd be great for the city, you know, they haven't gotten a Super Bowl. That'd be fucking huge. I mean, I do think if they win or lose, I think they will compete for the chances to get back to the Super Bowl. I do think that, because Burrow seems to be really good. They got the good fucking receivers, good running game. You know, they're pretty solid D as well. Their kicker is good. I mean, the Rams too. They might have cap problems. I don't know, but it would be cool seeing Stafford win too. You know, like I said, I don't necessarily have a. It's one of those games where it's like whoever wins, you know. Good for both, but I mean, if I had to choose, I'd say the Bengals. If I had to make a prediction, I would think maybe the Bengals would win. You know, like a 24. Now let me lie, like a 27-20, 27-21 maybe. Yeah, let's go 27-21 Bengals. I could see it being a high-scoring game, but I don't know. 27-21 Bengals. As for I don't think either of I think both quarterbacks are going for possibly break. Oh, they can break Eli Manning's postseason record for yards in a single postseason. That could happen. I think Stafford needs 315 and Burrow needs 378, so it would probably be Stafford. I could possibly do that. I honestly don't. If I'm going to make a prediction there, I don't think either of them get it. Stafford could for sure. passing rampage, and he hits like a couple big passes to Cup or Beckham. It definitely could actually happen, but I think it's going to be like I don't think it's going to be super high scoring, but I don't think it's going to be a defensive struggle. It's going to be one of those like in-betweens, like a 27-21 or a 28-24, which is actually a good amount of points if you think about it. But when I think high scoring, I think both teams have in the 30s or more. You know, like that fucking Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl shit like that. I think it is going to be an entertaining one, though. I really do. I'll also predict a key interception. I'm just going to throw random predictions in here and see if it happens outside of the actual score. I'm going to say someone's going to throw a key pick before the end of the half. Like whoever has the ball kind of driving is going to throw a key pick to set up another team getting points. I don't know if it's going to be a return touchdown or, they're going to return it and they're going to get a field goal or they're going to score in the next play. Like, we'll say within 2 minutes, someone's going to throw a pick and it's going to lead to points for the other team. I'm going to say there's going to be a blocked field goal in this game as well. And there's going to be a touchdown of 70 plus yards, like 70 to 80 yards. There's going to be a touchdown of. I know it's kind of a little broad, but I do think it's going to be a good game. They're both good teams, I think it's hard to come to, like I said, prediction for the score. I'm going to waffle on this and come up with another score here in a few seconds. I think there's going to be field goal kicks, so I think I said 6 to 10 points. I think the gap's going to be, like, I'm going to say like 27-24. I don't know. I do predict a good game, though. I don't think either one of these teams is getting blown out. I really don't. I definitely could see it being very tight going into the fourth quarter, too. Like, maybe like a back and forth game with no team in control completely. But yeah, I predict the Bengals will win. I would like to see them win. Like I said, either team is fine, but I'm going to predict we're going to do it this way. I'm going to predict a close Bengals victory of 6 points or under. I'm going to say that's definitive. That's my ultimate answer. With a crucial pick at the end of the half, tight game going into the fourth, and a big touchdown. One big touchdown in like the 70 to 80 yard range. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, it should be a fun one, though. Of course, the Super Bowl's going to be very unpredictable. Next thing you know, it's a fucking shit fest like that Rams-Patriots Super Bowl, or it's a fucking destruction like Denver getting annihilated by the Seahawks. Botched fucking snap for safety in the first place. The second that happened in that game, I'm like, they're fucked. I'm like, it's over. The funny thing is, now I'm going to just like ramble about that for a second. Now, Denver had a lot of injuries. I mean, Von Miller didn't play in that game. He was gone for the year at that point. Ryan Clady was gone for the year. I think Chris Harris was gone for that Super Bowl. They did lose a lot of people. I think if they were at full capability, they still lose, but it's much closer. But I will say this Super Bowl would have been a lot closer if Denver doesn't shit the bed on the fucking first snap of the game. If they just drive on that first drive, if they just maybe go 6 plays and then punt, that's a different Super Bowl, and they still lose. But I think they lose more in like the 2 touchdown range instead of like the 80 touchdown range. Like the 35 points. That was rough. Thankfully, they came back and won it 2 years said, as a Broncos fan, I got nothing to complain about. I've seen him win 3 Super Bowls. So, but yeah, that's a little Super Bowl ramble and a ramble on a game I would like to be made. I wouldn't necessarily call him any of that perfect, but for me, like I said, a perfect blend would be like exploration, finding things. Maybe there's some haunting mysteries going on in there as well. You got to figure out that kind of shit. Games that have been made, but maybe blending a couple of different things together. And a good atmosphere as well, like a kind of a creepy fucking atmosphere, and shit doesn't necessarily have to happen, but you're in like the dark woods sometimes, and you go into a creepy fucking rundown house in the middle of nowhere, that kind of shit as well. And Pyramid Head, favorite character in a game. But yeah,